7 years later, I had the epiphany to start a digital health company called My Viva. Patient-centric care means like the patient is the pilot and we, the healthcare professionals, are the co-pilot. We need to actually go look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what's our role in this? Over 50% of people are living with at least one chronic health condition.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at EasyNextSteps.com. Easy Next Steps is designed to help you and your family take care of the things that matter most, like your healthcare, money, and your lifestyle. Or maybe you own a business or run an organization with members and you're looking to attract and retain people who value their independence and mobility. Easy Next Steps does that too. Just head on over to EasyNextSteps.com to get started. She's a trailblazer in preventative healthcare and digital health, and her story is one of resilience and innovation. Discover how a life-altering accident fueled her mission to empower patients and to revolutionize patient care. Please welcome Loreen Wales to the Rebel Rebel. Welcome to the Rebel Rebel. I'm your host, Michael Dargie, and somewhere around the world, at least 3 times, I have Loreen Wales. Loreen, how are you?
I am very good, Michael. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to have you here. I like to just jump right in and Loreen, what is it that you're doing right now? What does your day look like? What business?
Well, honestly, my day looks like the typical day is bouncing from one meeting to the next in a bazillion different time zones and trying to figure out how to end one meeting at least 2 minutes before, occasionally in the day, to run to do a bio break and maybe grab a glass of water. That's kind of so I feel like I'm touching so many different time zones all over the place that I don't know half the time where what end is up.
Well, that sounds adventurous, and because there's two companies really that are
Yes.
that you're doing battle with. You use that term really loosely. You got Revive Wellness and then My Viva Plan.
Correct.
So where does that fit into your world? Like, what do those companies do, and what do you do for them?
Yeah, so I'm the founder of both, and what my Revive Wellness is our living lab. So we started that back in 2006, and it came out of the experience of working in tertiary care, so chronic disease management for 10 years, working with individuals who were living with many different chronic health conditions, but in particular, kidney disease, diabetes, heart disease, mental health issues, bone disease, cancer. I mean, you name it. There's like I was working with a really a complex group of individuals living with very complex health conditions. And I decided I wanted to get on the other side and to help people or help prevent people from having to live that life. And so I started Revive Wellness back in 2006. It to focus more on that prevention side of things. And then fast forward 7 years later, I had the epiphany to start a digital health company called My Viva, and it came out of all of that experience with tertiary care, primary care, and then boom, into the digital world, which I still shake my head and go, wow, okay, this is my life. Because the kids the other day, and our medical advisor was saying, okay, seriously, you don't know what Control C and V are? And don't you run a tech company? I'm like, come on. Why couldn't they have made it Control P? It would have made more sense to me. Control C, cut, Control P, paste, but it's Control V. And so it just mentally, yeah, messes me up. And so this has been the standing joke these days is that you actually run a digital health company that you're scaling internationally and you don't even use Control P and Control C and Control V. Anyway, that's just a side joke, but the
That's
whole,
so funny.
I mean, Revive ends up being our living lab, is what it turned into. And so all the healthcare professionals from Revive have been a part of, and all of the patients that we've had the pleasure of working with have all been a part of building the digital health program, My Viva Plan.
So, so just so that I understand better, what does a living lab mean? Like
Mm.
this idea of like, how is that a business, I guess, is the question I have.
So, the Living Lab is the clinic that we see patients day in and day out living with all different kinds of health conditions. And you've heard people talk about patient-centric care,
Yeah,
and
we
you've
hear that all the
probably heard
time.
people say, yes, but you've also probably heard people say, oh, people don't actually understand what that even means. Um, I would say
That's
that
true.
it's a term that has been misinterpreted or for sure misunderstood, because uh, like patient-centric care means like the patient is the pilot
Right.
and we, the healthcare professionals, are the co-pilot. But what programs have we actually built that really take that and do that 100% effectively?
Right.
I would say they're limited, significantly limited. Um, that's exactly why and how and what we built with My Viva Plan. So I have always, I mean, I spent 7 years, I did a nutrition degree, I did a psychology degree, 7 years of university education. And I can tell you that my university education did not come close to even capturing the important education that I got from patients if I sat there and listened, if I chose to.
Wow.
And so for me, my career has been totally focused on I need to practice as a healthcare provider in a way that gives patients that I have the privilege of working with tools and strategies to be able to decide what direction they have to guide me. They have to tell me that this is the direction that they want to go, and then I have to support them, but I have to do it in a way that help them frame that and understand what it is that that their symptoms mean from a clinical perspective,
Right.
and then give them options on experiments that they want if they want to do in order to improve those symptoms, and then give them the tools to be able to do the experiment at home to test it out, because that's where all of the healthcare happens, is outside the clinic, not inside the
What?
clinic, right?
Wow, that's so cool. Okay, so is there, I guess the challenge that you must face, and maybe this isn't, they wouldn't be your patients, they wouldn't be your clients, is that people that aren't ready to take that step to be responsible for their own healthcare probably aren't a good fit for you.
um Yes and no.
Okay.
So, what's interesting, so another terrible, here's a word that should be scratched from all healthcare professionals' vocabulary, non-compliant. Um, we've been quite judgmental
Hmm.
in healthcare. Uh, here is, and I was taught this way. I still hear it. I heard some healthcare professionals say this a few weeks ago to me when I asked what is their biggest challenge with chronic disease management in the clinic setting, and they said non-compliance, patients being non-compliant. And that just sets a little fire off inside of
I
me,
could
because
tell.
it's like, oh my gosh, like really, it's always just about the patient not being compliant. Has anybody like, as healthcare professionals, I'm sorry, but we need to actually go look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what's our role in this? Like, how, if we tell a patient, we're apparently, Michael, you come in to see me, your doctor's just diagnosed you with high blood pressure, and your doctor told you that you need to go lose weight, go exercise, and eat better and manage your stress. That's what we're told, right?
Yeah.
What plan are you going to be on? You come and see me and and you say to me, what am I supposed to do? And so if my response is, well, you need to do all of those things, but what does that plan look like for you?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if we, like the ones that have spent 7 years and 10 years and 12 years in university learning all of this, don't you think that we have a role to play? Like, instead of just talking at people,
Yeah.
we should actually maybe consider figuring out how effective that is. Because I can tell you, we just need to go look at our stats. And our stats, when you look at the prevalence of chronic health conditions globally,
Yeah.
we're not doing so well because over 50% of people are living with at least one chronic health condition.
Man. Yikes.
So to me, like understanding, the whole thing about the non-compliance and helping people uh, determine like, or give people a plan, create a plan for patients to follow so that they can then dig in and take control of their health.
Yeah.
That is what is essential in order for the patient to be able to improve their health outcomes and for me to be successful. But I can't, as the healthcare provider, make that happen, nor am I there 24/7 to guide the patient at home,
Right.
right? Which then means that, okay, what am I left with? All I'm left with and have time for in clinic to give people are what I say verbally, some verbal recommendations, some general one-page handouts, or some general websites that I send patients to. That's it. So that's all I have at my disposal. So healthcare professionals are caught between a rock and a hard place because that's it. That's all we have today.
Yeah.
Patients are left stranded. I mean, in my opinion, this whole process it's created Dr. Google because the patient goes home and goes, I don't know, what does it mean to actually lose weight? They
Yeah.
go on and type into Dr. Google. They get fed a whole bunch of stuff, some of it evidence-based, a lot of it not, right? And so they're trying to guide their and go down this path to figure things out. And when they don't have success or when they come back in and we ask them, well, did you do what I said? And the response is, well, I didn't really know what to do. We label them non-compliant.
Wow.
So that's the conundrum that we live with, right? And so the whole it's really it's interesting, it's frustrating, and I just as a healthcare provider just got sick and tired of being a part of this system that there were no alternatives. I keep getting told, and I was talking to a panel last week of healthcare professionals, and they're like, well, we need policy level change, we need more money in healthcare. And I looked at them and said, okay, so we might need all those things. Absolutely. I'm not denying that. But I actually have a list of patients I need to see in clinic today. And I have to help solve these problems today. So, how am I supposed to solve those problems today?
Right.
Because patients deserve care today,
Yeah.
right? And so I realized that no amount of money is ever going to be able to. I mean, because policy changes take years, decades sometimes,
Oh
right?
yeah.
I want to change. I want change to happen now. I want patients to be able to live their best life. And so I flipped it on its head 26 years ago and realized the patient is the key. And if we can actually, as healthcare professionals, give patients effective tools that before technology that I just gave on a piece of paper and said, okay, let's do this. Here's how you do this, 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 and get them engaged, we can improve clinical outcomes and improve quality of life with an N of one multiplied by millions of people. Imagine all of us
Wow.
getting engaged in being a part of the process. We can elicit change a lot faster than waiting for policy.
Wow. Preach. That's amazing. Wow. So a couple things for me to unpack there. I mean, now I understand where the My Viva train connected, because that then is the practical application of what you've learned in clinic, which is really cool. And it gives people that tool that's even deeper and better than a piece of paper or go read this thing. And here's what it means for weight loss. And I think about this guy. I wear this Apple Watch, which is, trying to kill me on a regular basis. It continues to be like, oh, you know what? You can burn this many more calories today. Why don't you try that? Or, you walked 5 steps less than you did yesterday. So increase that. But I find it fascinating that you are taking it to the streets and putting it into people's hands to, I guess, a practical application of, their health journey, which I think is really cool.
Mhm.
That's really neat. Um, so let me do a little side shuffle here and be like, what happened to you along the way that made you go, you know what, I can't do this. I am wired to help in a way that other people haven't. Is this like a young Loreen, down at the river fishing and noticing something one day, or is it like, what is it about you that's
Mm,
sent you on this
the
journey?
me story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I would say that it probably started off this journey and this quest to try to figure out what I was meant to do in my life. I think I got knocked off of my game when I was 19. I was hit by a drunk driver. I was in finished, I think it was my second year of university I had finished, and I spent a month in the hospital. I became a pincushion for a month in the hospital because the
Oh.
doctors would come in and flip back my sheet and show all the residents that my body on the left side was literally the color of my shirt. It was black from underneath my shoulder all the way down to below my knee. And I just kept getting told she shouldn't have survived. She shouldn't have survived. This is a miracle that she lived. Um, and the weird thing about it, Michael, was that I just finished dropping off a friend. We had gone to see a movie. I was supposed to go in and visit his parents. They weren't home. And this was in 1990, 1991 that this happened. Or no, sorry, 1990. And I undid my seatbelt, but I didn't open my door. And back then, seatbelts didn't retract
Right.
unless you open the door. And so he got out. His parents weren't home, so I didn't go in, and I proceeded to go down the block, turn right, and right before I went into the through the intersection, which was a green light, there was a voice that said, "Oh, your seatbelt's not done up, Loreen." And the last thing I remember is clicking my seatbelt into the buckle. And the next thing I did is wake up in the hospital, strapped down to a bed and in excruciating pain, not understanding what happened to me. Um, Fast forward through that, I mean, I was told by the doctors, you can't go back to school that fall. I defied them. I went back because seriously, what was I going to do? Sit and wallow? But it was a brutal year. I physically had a lot of injuries. I had a lot of internal injuries. They said, I don't know how, I didn't break any bones, but I twisted a lot. I twisted my pelvic bone to a 45-degree on the left hand side. They told me I wasn't going to be able to have children, carry a baby to term. My rib cage was shoved in. I couldn't feel the left side of my chest. I had collapsed bowel, a whole bunch of bleeding that caused a lot of scarring and kinks in my bowel. So like it was just, yeah, there was a lot of internal stuff going on, and I had to learn how to walk again with a walker, which is crazy. And so that, but here's the weird thing. There was that voice. Now, I mean, I don't care what religion, whatever this has got nothing. I can't explain it, but somebody actually said to me that my seatbelt wasn't done up. And had I not buckled in, I wouldn't be sitting here today. And so with a 19-year-old brain, you just start to percolate and go, because at 19, you think you're gonna change the world, or you just think you can do anything and nothing will stop you and you know it all. And I really got knocked on my butt and realized that I didn't know anything. And but I did know that I didn't die. And so the moment, after I got out of the hospital, I started to process that the next year, really worked through a lot of the physical issues that I was having. And that next year of school was brutal. And I remember sitting in February of the following year with I looked at all of the drugs that the doctors had put me on there. I had about 10 vials on my dresser. And I got up one morning and I said, enough is enough. And I threw them all in the garbage because none of them were working, like none of them.
Ah,
And I decided, I took a piece of paper and I divided the column or the page in half and made two columns, put good on the top of one, bad on the top of another. And I told myself I wasn't allowed to fill out anything on the bad column, that I could only write in the good. What good came out of this accident? And 3 hours later, I had one thing written on that piece of paper, and that was that it brought my parents and I closer together. Because my dad walked into the hospital room and told me it took me almost dying before he realized he had another daughter that he cared about. Because I have a sister who went down the wrong path in life with drugs, and that really did a huge, had a huge negative impact on our family. And for a while, I was really quite resentful towards my parents and my dad for saying that, but I realized that, I mean, as a parent now today, we do the best we can with the information and the tools we have at the time. That's what I've
yeah.
learned. But so I went on to this finished school, did my second degree. Or well, actually, sorry, back up for one sec. So that piece of paper, after 3 hours, I had one thing on that list.
Yeah.
And from that day forward, I said to myself, okay, every pain that I have, every negative thought that I have to replace it with this one good thing that happened as a result of this accident. And quickly over time, what started to happen is that other positive things started to come up for me. Oh, this happened, and oh, this is happening now. What I didn't realize, and because I wasn't finished my nutrition degree, but when I went into my psychology degree, what I realized that I was doing was practicing gratitude. Interesting, right? So I didn't know what I didn't know, but and over the years, like I remember going to see a psychologist when I was in a few years later, and she said, "Who taught you to do that?" And I said, nobody. I just decided had always been an optimistic person, and I couldn't handle the how I felt. I felt really down and sad, and I needed to get back into living. And she said, "Well, what you were doing is practicing gratitude, and you didn't even know it." And it really was quite interesting to see the power of it, right? The power of how we can shut the stress response off by just thinking positive thoughts. And so that led me to, I finished my two degrees. I got married to an amazing guy who, I mean, seriously, like the love of my life. We've been married 30 years. But then, that wasn't enough. And then, oh, I landed one of my most amazing career or positions at the University Hospital in nephrology. Again, another amazing opportunity and really exciting job. That wasn't enough. Like there was just something that just kept bugging me, that I was supposed to do something more. And then after 9 years of marriage, we decided I was going to be brave enough to attempt to have a baby. And they had told me I wasn't going to be able to. And I ended up having two successful pregnancies, knock on wood, but they were brutal pregnancies because of the accident, and had to wear a brace and stuff. But I did. I had two successful pregnancies, and you think, wow, okay, what a blessing, right? I mean, living through that happened. That still wasn't enough. And I was like, what? I remember at one point thinking, what is wrong with me? Like all of these positive things have happened, and I should be so, and I was really grateful, but there was just something more I felt like I needed to be doing. And fast forward to 10 years at the U of A, I decided to jump into building the living lab, Revive Wellness. And then fast forward 7 years later, having the epiphany to build the digital health program. I finally got to a point, and I don't even know because I've been doing this since 2013, but there was a point maybe 4 or 5 years ago that I sat down and I started to cry. And I said, I think I figured out what I was supposed to be doing. And
Wow.
that is like with the the digital program, My Viva Plan that we built, I am on a mission to transform how we deliver patient care, not just in Alberta, not just in Canada, not just in North America, but globally. And that is a big, hairy, audacious goal. That is bigger than me, that vision. It is bigger than me. It's bigger than that team, but it is what's fueling the fire inside me that I often describe to people as it can't possibly be human. This quest, this passion, this urgency that I have to be able to get tools into the hands of all humans out there, because I learned at a young age, we get one shot at this life, one shot.
Yeah.
And we all deserve to live with the best quality possible. And to me, we are the drivers, we're the pilot of that journey. And so we individually need those tools to be able to help us navigate that.
Damn. Well, thank you. That's incredible. The, I think that finding your purpose, there's a lot of people that haven't found theirs yet. And I think that the fact that you are chased it down relentlessly is a testament to I don't know, your spirit, the drive to get it right and to further evolve. And I'm really privileged to know you, Loreen. I think that's really cool. I like big, hairy, audacious goals.
Thanks,
Oh
Michael.
man, wow. Good. Wow, I wasn't expecting that journey. That's huge. So let me skate off onto another direction here. You said that you're busy time zoning left, right, and center, meeting and moving this ball down the field, for lack of a better metaphor. How do you stay? I guess, how do you keep your head in the game? How do you,
Mm.
with all that is pulling you in all these different directions? How do you stay focused?
Well, practice what I preach and the self-care, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it's that simple, but it's that complex, because as I learned that they every time you've been on airplanes, when they come in and they talk about they've got the safety speech that they give you, and they talk about when the air masks come down, what are the first thing that they say? You have to put on your air mask first, before your oxygen mask, before you help somebody else.
Yeah.
So as healthcare professionals, I think one of the things that, I mean, we all choose to go into becoming healthcare professionals because we want to help. Ironically, though, what ends up happening and we've seen it within COVID, where healthcare professionals are literally like, we're bombarded and you're running on a hamster wheel in clinic. And it feels like you fall into this mode of helplessness. I've heard people describe this sense of complacency, that they just can't see the forest through the trees, because there's so many fires to put out, right?
Yeah.
And what I've learned on this journey is that I am a better human. I'm a better healthcare provider. I'm a better mom. I'm a better wife. I'm a better friend. I'm a better colleague. I'm a better boss when I take care of me first. And so what that looks like is
Wow.
I exercise regularly. I make sure that I'm eating balanced. I keep my alcohol consumption in check. I make sure that I am getting outside and enjoying nature. That my hobbies these days they're limited, a lot less than what they used to be. But I love spending time with my dogs and taking them for walks and playing. And so I have to do self-care no matter how limited the time is in the day.
Mm.
That is essential. And then that just naturally sets me up for success with everything else. And today, I mean, am I perfect at it? God, no. This morning, and I'm going to, yeah, I canceled on my trainer. I had a bad accident a few years ago with my knee, and I'm seeing a personal trainer to help work through it. And still, a few years later, it's a lot of issues. But I canceled on him this morning, and I all day, and I know, in my brain, I say to myself, when you do this, that you never feel like you have the best energy throughout the day, and you just kind of feel guilty, blah, blah, blah. And I still canceled on him. And at lunchtime today, I was cursing myself because that's exactly it. Like, I feel my best when I'm doing self-care, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have to be perfect about doing the self-care, but we do need to do the self-care. And sadly, consistently, when we're under pressure and we're feeling more stress in our life and we're busier, we are the first and the only ones that throw ourselves under the bus and we stop doing the self-care.
Yeah. I feel you. When I miss a workout, I miss it. Like I know it, and I sometimes you make the best excuses in your head. Oh, I was up late, or I had a deadline, and I blah blah blah. But it doesn't matter. Like I always know that if I spend that hour in a gym first thing in the morning before anything else happens, I'm gonna have my best day.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and that's a hard thing. I think it's a hard thing, especially people who are busy and building things and doing business stuff to be like, oh, that can wait. I've got to focus on this stuff now. And when in fact, it's so counterintuitive. It's the exact opposite.
It 100% is. And I mean, I have my best creativity after when I'm working out. If I mean, ask my staff, it's so funny. I'm like, okay, when I was on the treadmill or when I was riding the bike or when I was out for a walk, I thought of this or, right?
Yeah.
That's where you tend to be more creative. And it always feels, and it's funny. And I think healthcare professionals definitely suffer from this because they have the best intentions and they're coming in and they're being incredibly selfless and they want to be there to help support people, and there's this guilt associated with, oh well, I don't have time to take care of me, there's all these patients waiting. But trust me, like, you get through the workload better when you
Yeah.
actually you take care of you first.
That's so good. Good. Take note of that, listeners. Good. I hope you're on a treadmill listening to this right now. Let's say, so here you are. Well, we're full spring right now. I won't tell, the exact month or day, but it's, I don't know. It's beautiful where I am. It's probably
Hmm.
getting pretty nice where you are. The leaves are coming out. And let's just say we find Loreen walking down, the North Saskatchewan River. That's close to you, I think, right?
Hmm.
Okay, and you're on the pathway system. Maybe the Canadian geese have got their goslings, out, and they're not being too, they aren't harassing you too much. And you're thinking to yourself as you're there with your dogs, this one thing that you wish the world knew. What is the one thing, Lorene, that you wish the world knew?
Mm. Oh, that's easy. The power of self-care.
Ah, okay, it all comes full circle.
It does. It is so simple. I mean, yeah, it's so simple, but yet it's that complex.
Yeah,
But we are chasing just go onto Google and do some searches. Humans are chasing everything that they're chasing is for this fix, like to fix a problem that they have. And what they're not doing is stopping and looking in the mirror to go, okay, well, what can I do? It isn't about the external pill, the external device, the gadget, the course, the this, the book, the that. It's about the self-care.
yeah,
And if we could all get back into doing a tenth of the self-care that like, even if we do 1/10 of the self-care that we should do in a day, you have improved outcomes. So there is so much power in the self-care.
love it. Okay, I love it. I think I'm sneaking up on a title for this episode. It'll come to me, but I think self care is going to be in it. Um, so adjacent to that is things that you do just for Loreen. So I know that you mentioned that you work out and you take your dogs for a walk. What's like a guilty pleasure that you do just for you?
Oh my gosh. A guilty pleasure just for me. Well, I went to have a pedicure done 2 days ago, so that's a
Nice.
do that. Guilty. I like to go on dates with my husband. I like to, I mean, that I love making cards, homemade cards. That's something that I used to do a lot. Scrapbooking
Oh,
is another one. Just so I love traveling, and but not doing as much personal travel these days, certainly since the pandemic, but way more for
mm,
business. And one of the guilty pleasures that I did, usually when I travel for business, I don't do anything personal because I'm usually just like you're just working, right? When you're
yeah,
away. But I was in Dubai in January and the Burj Khalifa. I'm married to a civil engineer. You can't go to the city that has the tallest building on the
yeah.
planet and not go see the tallest building on the planet,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so as much as it was a guilty pleasure, and I did, I went up to the 154th floor.
Oh
I
my
was the
God.
only one there, and they served me. It was one of the only places I think in Dubai that they serve alcohol, and I had a glass of wine.
Amazing.
And I sat there by myself looking out and just marveling at the fact that what brought me to Dubai, yeah, and just the this journey that I'm on. And so I like to reflect. I do like to take time to just sit and process my journey and practice gratitude. And yeah,
Yeah,
it helps bring clarity for me.
amazing. What a thing that would be, having a glass of wine in the tallest building in the world, reflecting on what got you there. That's powerful. Very
Yeah, it
cool.
was kind of neat.
You don't seem like the type of person that binges Netflix, but I could be wrong. Do you?
Oh no, I if I'm so interesting thing, Michael, you've had times where I mean, building a company, scaling a company. That's I can't believe sometimes I have to pinch myself on occasionally to say, wow, I'm really doing this.
Yeah,
Um, but you hit the wall. We all do. We hit the wall with trying to figure out problems and stuff.
yeah,
And or things just happen where you're frustrated with something, and so I've learned that I need to just leave it. I need to leave it. I need to walk away and I need to leave it for a bit, and I just mentally say to myself, I just breathe and trust that you are going to figure it out and the problem will present itself. And so sometimes, most definitely, I have absolutely binged on Netflix. I was laughing because I said to my team, the shows that I find fascinating to watch, don't ask me why, because I don't like blood and guts and gore. I don't like scary movies. That's not my thing.
yeah,
But what I have found intriguing is like I love studying human behavior. So one of the things that I
yeah,
find intriguing is about driving efficiency, about having well, efficiency, but then also processes, right? Like how do we quickly how quickly can we solve things so that we can prevent problems from happening?
yeah,
And so I can't even remember the name of the show, but the one that was recently watching was SWAT, and I didn't even know the show existed. But
yeah,
it's about like this high advanced police team, but it's their training. So I don't like the blood and guts and the shooting and stuff like that, but it's the
yeah,
training that I really like. And so Marine training is another one.
yeah.
And I find it interesting how, because to me, I mean, as you're scaling and building a team, the efficiency matters, right?
Sure.
And communication matters. And so all of these teams, these really, really specialized teams that have a really high level of well, they're not perfect, but they're almost perfect at execution.
Yeah,
How do they get to that level, right? Without the mindset of being perfect. Do
yeah,
you know what I mean? Because
yeah, yeah,
perfection doesn't exist. So I don't want my team or myself to believe that I have to be perfect as a human, because that's not possible.
yeah,
But when you put a team together and you put enough processes together and you break it down into bite-sized pieces through executing all of these processes and stuff, you can actually achieve that perfection
right.
without anybody needing to be perfect, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get it.
So that's where that's the kind of stuff that I like. Totally nerded out with you right there, Michael, but that's the
Love
kind
it.
of stuff that I like to play with.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, that's so good. Um, what's your favorite part about running a business?
When patients actually, when I get clients and patients giving me a call, sending me a message, that say to me, "You changed my life. You, you, um, you truly helped give me tools that have allowed me to build the skill set to believe in me."
Wow.
And I'm flying now, Lorene, and you travel the world with me. I think about you. I think about this when you say this, or I thought about that. And that's pretty cool when you have that um, ability to be able to empower individuals to take control of their health. That for me is what it's all about.
That's awesome. Have you heard the word ikigai? It's like basically living your purpose. I guess is
Mm,
the easiest way to say it. And it's I think it's I get it wrong, but the idea is that you're living in a state of grace when you're living your purpose. It's effortless then,
hmm.
because even though you're gonna have some hard times and it's gonna be difficult to do some stuff, but the reality is that your energy comes from you doing the thing that brings you energy, and that is the right place to be.
Yes,
Sounds like that's where you're
yes.
at.
Yes, I would say that that's where I've been at my whole career.
That's cool.
My daughter is 20 in her third year of university, and she often says about she doesn't know what she wants to do, and she's trying to figure that out. And I said, well, you, she said, you like your job? I said, well, yeah, because I don't have a job. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, I don't. I'm doing what I love, which means I don't feel like I go to work every day.
Right.
I get up, and even if there's hard things to do, it doesn't feel like a job. I literally do not remember the last time. Maybe when I was working in government, in public sector, maybe. But from the time that I started Revive Wellness 2006, I've never felt like I had a job,
Love
I,
it.
or that I go to work every day.
This feels like an obvious next question. It almost feels a little bit like cheating, but there's these people out in the world who are, and maybe it's your daughter. She's, in her just sort of the tag end of her university journey. Maybe it's the person who's deciding to leave their job to do something new. We call them rebels in waiting, and they're these people, these humans that are just about to do this big thing, whatever that big thing happens to be. And one thing I love from this show is the advice that our guests give to these rebels in waiting. So, what advice would you give to them about how they might proceed?
Mm. Be bold and brave enough to push the boundaries until you find what it is that excites you, and that you know that, because you'll know when you get there, you will know. It's undeniable when you get to that point and figure out, okay, this is it. And if you ever question it, you just need to keep pushing. So being bold and brave to pursue that, and because it's scary. I mean, my daughter, uh, she's going through this right now, and she gave me a Mother's Day card yesterday, and she made me cry because she wrote on it that all of the success that she currently has and moving forward is based on the advice that I've given her, which is just that. I haven't told her what to do. How can I tell her what to do? But I've encouraged her to be brave and to be bold, because she only gets one shot at this life too. We all do. And I think it's sad that when I hear people saying that they feel stuck in a job, we're the only ones that keep ourselves stuck,
Yeah.
because you can argue that there are all these obstacles up against you. I've been there, done that. The obstacles can be broken down if we are bold and brave.
Love it. Loreen, this has been an outstanding way to spend time. Thank you so much for today.
You are most welcome. Thank you for having me. As I said, Michael, it was a pleasure chatting with you too.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at EasyNextSteps.com. Easy Next Steps is designed to help you and your family take care of the things that matter most. Just head on over to EasyNextSteps.com to get started. I've been your host, Michael Dargie, and this has been the RebelRebel Podcast. It's a podcast for creative rebels and entrepreneurs all over the world. And hey, if you're a rebel or you know a rebel, why don't you head on over to the RebelRebelPodcast.com and fill out our guest request form. Share or subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And thanks so much for listening. Until next time.